everybody. Welcome to Trading the Close. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here at VerifiedInvesting.com. Today was a day where the volume was light. All eyes are on Netflix and Taiwan Semiconductor earnings. In all fairness, there is one stock tomorrow morning that I'm watching for the overall broad technology sector, and that's ASML, which is a chip player out of Europe. Those earnings will be out pre-market, and that could set the tone if they are bad or good for the overall chip sector. Now, today was a day where early in the day we saw big cap technology selling off. Some are still down like Nvidia. Nvidia is struggling today, but others have rebounded like Tesla after going negative early. It's come back up. We've seen Apple kind of force itself back to the green side, as well as some other mega caps. But the story of the day, the Russell up another 3+%, incredible move, something like 12 to 13% in just the last 5 trading days. Markets don't usually move that way, but this catch-up trade is on fire. All right, let's turn our attention to the markets here. This is the S&P 500 here on an intraday 10-minute basis, and what we could see very clearly, the markets opened higher. They did a whole lot of sideways chop, and then you're seeing a little bit of a push into the end of the day. S&P carrying its load here to the highs of the day, and really, to be honest, all-time highs on the S&P 500. Now, I do want to flip over to the daily chart of the SPY because I do want to continue to show you this. This is something I'm paying very close attention to, this channel. Now, again, the channel, I showed you guys this in the game plan this morning. You have this major connector right up here, and you can see how we kept on bumping up against it right here. We then broke below it, but have then come to the underbelly here, here, and here. And we are right on that line, right on that pivot point. So over the next couple days, huge to see, does this push through this underbelly trend line of the channel, or does it stall out and start to pull back and break to the downside? Now, we look to charts for clues, right? All about looking for the breadcrumbs to see what could happen. A couple stocks that have been high flyers that really we should be on alert for is this one right here, Dell. Remember Dell, how hot it was of a stock? Well, look at what is happening to Dell. Here's that big bull run that started. It took us all the way up to $180. Bad earnings took it down, bear flag, and look at right here what's going on, guys. Look at the trend line, and we are now starting to break below right here. Look at that, breaking below the trend line. So that does give me a little bit of a clue that certain stocks in this hot market are starting to deteriorate. Another stock on the radar that is showing the same sort of weakness is Micron Technologies. Micron was one of the hottest names out there, folks. But again, same thing, a short-term trend line which has now broken to the downside on these hot chip stocks. And again, you can see right here, look at that candle right there, breaking below the key trend line. And then let's go to trusty Nvidia, and let's see what Nvidia is doing today. And if we bring that up, take a look at this, guys. It is down on the day, not down tremendously, down about $2. But one of the things that I'm noticing is there's a trend line right through here that it's just holding on to. Just holding on to. In fact, let me put it on the chart for us right now. If we take this low pivot, we drag it right through these lows. Take a look at this, guys. Right through this pivot low here, goes right through this low, and then there we are. We tagged it today and bounced. So Nvidia hasn't bounced, but if you think about that, that makes sense. Micron, Dell have broken. Those are kind of second tier. I mean, they're great companies, don't get me wrong, but when you look at it and compare it to Nvidia, Nvidia is the king. Let's be fair. Nvidia is the king, so it makes sense that this one hasn't broken yet while the others have. But the others are leading to the downside because they are not the king. This one's still keeping enough buyers in it to keep it above the key trend line. So something just to watch in the next couple days. Now, if we go to Apple, Apple today basically flat on the day, but again, Apple continues to be holding inside of a channel with resistance. Take a look right here, guys, right through these lows, right here, and then right up there. That was yesterday's high, tagging that level. It pulled back off of that level. Today, flat to positive. Let's watch to see what it does. All right, so that's the name of the game here. We did have bank stocks reporting earnings today as well. A lot of those, like Bank of America, was good. That stock is up. Schwab, on the other hand, really not doing so well. Schwab got hammered today. Let's take a look at that chart real quick. SCHW is the symbol on that one. And if we bring up that chart, take a look to the downside, hammered here, down, I think it was down about 10%. That's a big drop for Schwab. A little trend line action here. You can see it came right into that zone here, but I honestly think it's probably going lower over the coming days. But that's a big drop for Schwab versus Bank of America, which was up on earnings. All right, so again, a little bit of a recap here. Markets light volume, floating up. We got retail sales this morning, which showed that the consumer's still spending according to these numbers, even though a lot of these companies are saying otherwise. And then we look towards the next couple days. We have ASML earnings tomorrow morning. We have Taiwan Semi Thursday morning, and Thursday after the close is Netflix, and that will be humongous. And I'll go over those charts tomorrow before those earnings come out. But let's take a look here at gold. Gold today did break out to the upside, so big breakout on gold. Take a look at this. So here was your previous high. This was a topping tail right here that told us it was going to pull back. It did, and then it started to just chop and gyrate. Ultimately, we had a pierce of this line here, but it never closed above. Today, you have an official close above. Granted, it hasn't confirmed, but at least you did close above, and this is a new all-time high on gold, and I still think it's going higher, guys. Now, it doesn't mean it's not going to have a pullback here and there, but we just know the end game here. You have a political system that's broken where the spending, whichever party's in the White House, they're going to likely be spending more and more and more, running up the deficit. You have a Federal Reserve that is now getting antsy. You can tell Jerome Powell making comments almost every other day now that he's looking forward to cutting rates. The market is now pricing in a September rate cut as a certainty, not just a question mark. It is a certainty now based on the market that it's going to be a rate cut in September. All of this feeds gold to the upside, and eventually Bitcoin too, although Bitcoin continues to kind of be wishy-washy here. Let's take a look. We have had a good run on Bitcoin lately, but again, it is coming off lows. So let's take a look at that Bitcoin chart real quick here, bringing it up. Let's see what we have. And there you have it. So again, Bitcoin had that big flush. We've now retraced. This is a 618 Fibonacci retrace from this high to this low. That's a classic 618. So this is a key level here for Bitcoin. Can it push through? If it can, you're likely headed back to the 71,000 level, which again, this is a really nice move on Bitcoin, all the way from a low just 2 weeks ago of around 52,500. All the way now up to 65,000. Again, percentage-wise, that is a big move. So good move there. The question is, can we get through the 618 Fibonacci retrace here and push back? If we do get through the 618, you're likely at least going to this high here and very likely retest of the all-time highs. Okay, couple other charts out there this morning. I did not go through silver, so I can briefly bring up silver. Silver ended up having a solid day. Notice how silver is lagging gold, though. All right, and by the way, I saw a comment today saying, "Oh, silver is the most undervalued metal out there." I love the narrative. Don't get me wrong. More power to you for feeling it. The one thing I've learned as a trader is that in reality, price is the arbiter of truth. And so you might think something's undervalued, but whatever the market's valuing it is what it's at. And we can always speculate, like, I mean, how many people think Bitcoin should be $1 million, right? Okay, so Bitcoin's undervalued to them. How many people think Bitcoin should be zero because it's worthless? Well, there's a lot of people, right? But what is the truth? This is the truth right here. Price doesn't lie. Price is price, and that is the nature of the beast right there. Okay, so on silver, notice how it's lagging gold. Gold's breaking above its previous high here, right? Gold is up here. Silver is still doing this. Now, eventually, I do think silver follows gold, but the reason why it's lagging is because it is an industrial metal. The Fed has been very concerned, more so than at any other point in this latest cycle, about the economy and the jobs market. You see it from the comments. Just yesterday, Jerome Powell was making comments about how the jobs market is very concerning to him, the slowdown there, that they might need to cut rates soon. These are all code words for, we might be on pace for a recession. Now, so far, the stock market's not buying into that narrative. They're still running in. The markets are seeing money flow coming in. But the Fed is, if you read through the tea leaves here, you will see that narrative being shown there. So eventually, likely, we do see silver go to the upside, but right now, it is not doing that. And let's just take a look at a couple of these other big ones. Oil today, you guys know I continue to be bearish on oil. Oil fell today, was down about $1.12. The key on oil here is this line right here, this 80.5 area. It did pierce it, but it got back above it by the close. What we're looking for is a little bit something like this and then a breakdown, and I do think it is coming based on those very same narratives that the Fed is spinning. The Fed is giving us those heads up that the economy is slowing a little bit faster than they like, and they might have to cut rates. That's code word again for a potential recession. And what happens to oil in a recession? It generally goes lower. So I would continue to watch for a lower move on oil. So far, we've been right on that as it's curled over, and now we want to see that breakdown. Natural gas, quickly touching on this one here. And natural gas, again, is something that, you know, it's a pretty volatile thing to trade. There's no doubt about it. We did see a small bounce today, just a little bit of a bounce here, still sitting right on big support. I still think it could go a little bit lower to tag this little lower level, but either way, I do anticipate a bounce. Just a technical bounce. Let's be fair. A recession is still not the greatest for natural gas, probably more important for oil in terms of a recession. But either way, you can still see just on a technical basis, this is now a 30% plus drop in a straight line on natural gas. Generally, the way charts work is they come down to support on a straight line, and then you get some sort of bounce. We talked about the M pattern this morning, which is a classic MA. Where do you go? You go right to the middle point of the A pattern, right, or the middle of the M right there. Okay. Other than that, let me just see. I don't think there were any big earnings after the bell today. I think IBKR was going to report. That was one of the names that you might recognize. You know, for the most part, JB Hunt. We can look at JB Hunt. It's a transportation stock, JBHT. And the reason why you pay attention to transportation stocks are because they obviously have economic implications. So I'm bringing up extended hours here on JBHT. And what we're seeing here initially a little bit of a sell in the after hours and then kind of a rally back up to the flat line. Not much price action here on this one. And then let's look at IBKR just because with Schwab getting hit, the question is, would IBKR also get hit? And the answer right now is no. It looks like IBKR is rallying a little bit in the after hours. Not a big move, about a $4 move to $123 to $127. Not a big enough move for me to trade at this point, but certainly just worth, it's kind of interesting there. I do trade on IBKR myself. At least one of my portfolios is on there, and fair enough that they do offer a pretty solid service right there. Okay, so as it all comes down, guys, we have economic news the rest of the week, but it's more minor economic news. It's all about earnings. And for the next 3 weeks, it's going to be all about earnings. Tons of earnings coming out. And again, as we get into next week, the big cap tech are going to start to report. Netflix is kind of a precursor. That'll be an interesting one. We'll go over that chart tomorrow ahead of the report. But either way, it is going to get crazy in this market based on valuations, based on all the things we discussed. So on that note, I got to get going, guys. I got to get back to the charts. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. for the game plan. Take care.